the most powerful weapon ever built, designed to neutralize the Demon King, activates the moment he steps inside. Instead of sealing his powers, it twists itself into a perfect heart shape. The guards go silent. The Demon King looks confused. The hope of humanity drops to his knees and screams. Cities are burning. The sky is cracking open like an eggshell, and from those cracks come things that were never supposed to exist outside of screen. A game called Will of the Earth has physically merged with Earth. Not a simulation, not virtual reality. The game became real. Monsters, demons, game mechanics, NPCs, all of it ripping through the barrier between fiction and reality and landing directly on top of civilization. Every single human being on the planet has been forcibly made into a player. Combat classes, stat menus, skill trees, all of it materialized out of thin air, straight into people's hands, because apparently the game decided humanity needed a head start. Every human. One exception. Xia is a 21-year-old college student standing in the middle of a burning city, and his character creation screen has frozen. He watches the progress bar stop. He watches the system error flash across his vision. He watches the screen crash, reboot, crash again, and when it finally stabilizes, he pulls up his character profile, and his stomach drops through the floor. No class, no stats, cannot equip items, cannot gain experience, cannot level up. The status window shows nothing where his power should be. The system has registered him as a player in the same way a computer registers a corrupted file, technically present, completely non-functional. He shouts at the screen. He demands answers. He tries restarting it. Nothing works. And then a level 18 mole monster walks past the alley he's standing in, and reality sets in very fast. Xiao forces himself to stop panicking and start thinking. His inventory still works. That much is confirmed. He has a handful of beginner health potions. He has production skills, cooking, blacksmithing, first aid, that the crash left behind, strangely intact. None of them help you fight. All of them help you survive in different ways. It's not ideal. It's not even close to ideal. But it's something. He tells himself, find a safe zone, use what you have, figure the rest out later. He doesn't get far before the sky above the city tears open again. This time it's not a crack. This time something is falling through it, fast, enormous, leaving a trail of fire across the sky like a comet. The impact, when it hits, is not a crash. It's a detonation. 2 blocks from where Xia is standing, the ground erupts, debris flies in every direction, and a shockwave rolls outward hard enough to knock people off their feet. Xia grabs a rock and holds on, and when the dust settles, he looks toward the crater. Something is standing in it. She rises slowly, deliberately, tall, striking, horns curling from her head, a whip coiled at her side. She holds something in her fingers, a hand-drawn portrait of a man. Her eyes scan the burning streets with an expression that is somewhere between reverence and cold calculation. Belial, one of the 7 heavenly kings of the demon faction, an S-class demon who tore a hole in the atmosphere just to land here. She checks her coordinates. She smiles. The demon king's birthplace, she says quietly, cannot be without blood. She activates absolute territory. The skill goes off in a ring of force that expands from her body in every direction. It has one function. Everything within range that is more than 10 levels below her dies. No contest. No resistance. No dramatic last stand. Players who survived the merge and found what they thought was safety gone. The street goes red in an instant. Bodies drop. Silence follows. Xia is behind a rock. He presses himself flat and does not breathe. He has no idea why he's still alive. His level cannot be measured, which means it can't be compared, which means the skill's threshold doesn't register him as a valid target. He doesn't know that. He just knows he's alive, and everyone around him is not. He stays behind the rock. Then the second explosion shakes the street. A man walks out of the smoke, tall, commanding, surrounded by light that actually pushes back the darkness around him. Roland, High Priest, the NPC designated as humanity's greatest weapon against the demon faction, has arrived on schedule. He takes one look at Belial standing in her crater, and his jaw tightens. He's fought things like her before. He knows how this goes. What follows is not a clean fight. It's brutal and fast and completely destructive. Roland hits hard. Belial hits harder. Her whip tears craters in the pavement. His holy skills push her back in bursts. They're matched in a way that makes every exchange dangerous. Then Belial's portrait slips from her fingers during the struggle. Roland grabs it. He holds the drawing of the Demon King's face up in front of her, and Belial freezes. Just for a moment. Just long enough. Roland drives his fist into her jaw with everything he has, and she goes airborne, sailing across the street and crashing into the ground not 20 feet from where Xia is hiding behind his rock. The portrait is damaged in the impact. The Demon King's face on the drawing, the only image Belial has of her master, is destroyed. Unreadable. Belial looks at the ruined drawing, and what happens to her expression is not grief. It's something colder. Her power spikes 20%. She goes back at Roland with everything she has left, and he has no more clever tricks. He ends the only way left, one clean, decisive swing of his blade. Belial is cut in two. Blood erupts in every direction. Roland stands in the wreckage, chest heaving, and walks slowly toward the body to confirm what he already knows. And Xia, behind his rock, is absolutely soaked in Belial's blood. He looks at his hands. He looks at his shirt. He looks like a man who just survived a natural disaster, which technically he has. He starts to get up, slowly, legs shaking, trying to determine if it's safe to move. Roland sees him. And here, right here, is where the entire story pivots on a single misunderstanding. Roland activates perception. He scans the blood-drenched young man crouching beside the rock, expecting to see a frightened beginner who got lucky. What the skill returns instead stops every coherent thought in his head. Level, immeasurable, cannot be determined. Class, destroyer. Status, unknown. Roland goes very still. He runs the scan again. Same result. His mind starts sprinting through every possible explanation. A normal player maxes out in the hundreds. 4 digits is the territory of entities that reshape battlefields. The only being with an unreadable level, the only one, is the Demon King himself. And here he stands, in Belial's blood, watching Roland with quiet, calm, curious eyes. He let Belial fight alone. He watched Roland struggle. He observed everything from behind that rock, assessing, measuring, waiting. This wasn't a survivor. This was a test. Roland's cold sweat has absolutely nothing to do with the fight he just survived. Xia, completely unaware of any of this, notices something practical. Roland's health bar is nearly empty. The man looks like he got hit by several buildings, which he kind of did. And Xia, because this is simply how he works, steps out from behind his rock and holds out a health restoration potion. Roland stares at the vial. His brain processes this in stages. Stage 1, it's a gift. Stage 2, the Demon King doesn't give gifts out of kindness. Stage 3, this is poison. The Demon King wants him to suffer before dying. A slow, agonizing end rather than a clean kill. He considers refusing. He considers running. He runs a very fast mental calculation and lands on, ignorance might be the only card I have left. He screams. He maxes his poison resistance. He mentally says goodbye to his several people he cares about. He takes the vial from Xia's hand, looks him dead in the eyes, and drinks it in one go. His health bar fills from nearly nothing to completely full. It was a common beginner potion, the cheapest item in the game. Xia gave it to him because the man was clearly hurt, and Xia doesn't know how to walk past someone who is clearly hurt. Roland stands there with his resistances maxed and his heart still hammering and absolutely no idea what to do with the emotion currently running through his chest. And then Xia asks politely if Roland can point him toward the beginner safe zone. He explains, with genuine earnestness, that he has 0 combat abilities and really needs to be somewhere protected so he can start building his skills from the ground up. He's not going to give up, he says. He just needs a starting point. He smiles at Roland like they're two people having a perfectly normal conversation at the end of the world. Roland processes this request carefully. His conclusion: the Demon King wants to infiltrate the safe zone. He wants to get in among the weakest, newest players, the ones who haven't even learned their skills yet, and destroy humanity at its most vulnerable root. It's the perfect strategic move. The safe zone is exactly where the hope of humanity would least expect an attack. Roland pulls himself together. He straightens his spine. He arranges his expression into something resembling calm authority. He says, "Yes, I know exactly where it is. I would be honored to lead you there personally." And in the back of his mind, he thinks, "I have a trap there. The most powerful system-level containment device ever constructed. The moment you step inside it, this is over." He starts walking. Xiao falls in a step beside him, grateful. Neither of them has any idea what's about to happen at that safe zone. The road to the safe zone is not a peaceful walk. High-level monsters don't care about human political agendas. They attack based on proximity, and the road Roland is walking is very close to a lot of proximity. 3 separate encounters happen before they've covered even half the distance, and in all 3 of them, Roland fights. He holds the line, launches holy skills that light up the dark streets, and dispatches creatures that would kill any normal player in seconds. Xiao rides on his back. He clings on with both arms, face buried in Roland's collar, absolutely terrified, and does not let go until the threat is neutralized. Each time Roland looks back at him, Xiao gives a small, embarrassed thumbs up. Roland interprets this as the Demon King testing his combat abilities, watching every technique, every skill, every decision, assessing his potential value as an opponent. He believes Xia is a terrible actor, but is too dangerous to call out. He grits his teeth and keeps moving. Meanwhile, back at the safe zone, Roland's NPC assistants have done their job. The steel bolt stands in the center of the zone, a tall, silver system-level device that took significant resources to construct and position. It has one function. When any monster or demon of any power level walks into its activation range, it seals their abilities completely. Doesn't matter how strong they are. The steel bolt operates at the system level. It doesn't have a power threshold. It just works. The NPCs are proud of it. They're ready. They're watching the road. Roland arrives with Xia. One more step. One activation. End of threat. Xiao walks into the safe zone. The steel bolt activates. For approximately 2 seconds, it looks like it's doing its job. The device hums. The air shimmers around it. And then the structure begins to make sounds it was never designed to make. Grinding, groaning, the sound of metal under enormous pressure. Cracks run up the tower's sides like fault lines. The whole structure shudders once, twice, and then bends. The steel framework warps outward from every angle simultaneously, curling, reshaping, finding a new form entirely. The steel bolt has become a perfect heart, a giant steel, system-crafted heart, standing in the center of the safe zone like a very expensive public sculpture. The city shakes once. The lights go dark. They come back on a moment later. Everything is silent. The NPCs stare at the heart-shaped tower. Their technical diagrams no longer apply. Their containment strategy is now public art. Someone in the back of the crowd makes a small, wounded noise. Xiao looks at the structure with genuine interest and asks if that's the power of the system. Roland drops to both knees on the cobblestones of the public safe zone, tilts his head back, and screams that he is very, very scared. The players around them stare. The NPCs stare. A child nearby starts crying, and it's not clear if it's in response to the dragon that attacked earlier or to the hope of humanity currently having a crisis on the main road. Xia grabs Roland by the collar and tells him to pull himself together. He says, and this is said with complete sincerity, zero manipulation, and genuine concern, that people are watching. That Roland is the hope of humanity. That they can't afford to be frightened right now because this game has barely begun and humanity needs him to hold it together. He looks Roland in the eyes and says, "You can do this." Roland stares back at him. He is convinced this is the most elaborate psychological torture he has ever experienced. He stands up. He adjusts his clothes. He puts his game face back on, and he decides his only move is to stay close to this terrifying creature and try to find an angle. He braces himself for the Demon King's demands. Whatever it is, land, resources, power, a declaration of surrender from the council. He will find a way to handle it. Xia says he wants to learn cooking. Roland opens his mouth, closes it, opens it again. Xia explains with total calm. He has no combat abilities, so he has to find another way to become useful. Cooking is the most practical. He also needs first aid training. He wants to become someone who can actually contribute even without fighting. He's not going to give up on becoming a hero just because his character creation glitched. He says this with the cheerful determination of someone who has never considered the possibility of failure. He asks Roland to show him where the training mentors are. Roland, completely defeated by this conversation, takes him there. The cooking mentor Hiri and the first aid mentor Li Bingbing run one look at Xia and immediately start explaining why they can't help him. Production skills are expensive. The economy is in chaos. All materials are scarce. Prices are exploding. Players are barely scraping together a few silver coins from early hunts. A bottom-tier production skill costs as much as a C-rank combat ability. Grandmaster-level mastery is the kind of expense that makes established players flinch. They're midway through their refusal speech when Xia pulls out his gold. The mentors stop talking. The atmosphere in the room changes completely. They are immediately profoundly interested in helping this young man achieve his dreams. The gold runs out before it covers everything. Xia looks at Roland. Roland's face falls like a building with no foundation. He hands over his coin purse. Not enough. He removes his outer coat, recognizable instantly as S-rank gear worth more than most players will ever own. Not enough. His sword. Not enough. His belt. Not enough. His bracers. Not enough. The mentor finds a watch on Roland's wrist, a coming-of-age gift from his father, worn on every mission for 10 years, and indicates it with a small nod. Roland hands it over with the expression of a man watching his own funeral. He stands there, in the mentor's shop, in the safe zone, in front of everyone, with nothing. The mentor holds up Roland's shorts and mentions to a colleague that certain fans would pay significant money for these. Roland, the hope of humanity, is standing in a production skill training shop in his undergarments because the Demon King needed culinary education funding. This is his life now. Xia thanks him genuinely and warmly. Roland stares at the wall and thinks, I've been robbed of everything. He's taken my clothes, my weapon, my watch, and my dignity, and he did it with a smile and a thank you. He has never felt more outmaneuvered in his life. But the day gets stranger, because when Xia takes the items he doesn't need, Roland's gear, Balial's belongings that were still in his inventory, to the NPC market to sell them, the transaction goes in a direction no one expects. The market manager recognizes Roland's items immediately. S-rank holy gear, confirmed authentic, significant value. Then Xia places two unidentified items on the counter. The first is a pair of horns. Balial's horns, harvested after her death. The manager runs an appraisal and reads out the result with a voice that gets progressively more stunned. Powerful aphrodisiac properties, high value in medicine, cooking, and high-end jewelry markets. 6 gold coins per pair, and they regrow daily on the living creature. The second item is a piece of Balial's clothing. The manager lifts it, examines it, consults 2 colleagues. The fabric is thin, light, and perfumed in a way that triggers 3 separate system value alerts. He sets it down carefully. 700 gold pieces. He declares it priceless. In the line behind Xia, a player who just sold a full set of heavy armor for 2 silver coins watches all of this in complete, speechless fury. Xia leaves the market with more money than most guilds accumulate in their first week. He uses it immediately, every coin back into training. Skill after skill, level after level, from beginner to intermediate to advanced to master to grandmaster in accelerated sequence. The mentors, who have been training players for their entire careers, watch a college student with a broken character sheet absorb everything they have to teach and keep going. He walks past the cooking mentor one morning without stopping. The mentor calls after him. Is there something else he needs? Xia says, politely, that he's already at grandmaster level. He's finished. The mentor sits down and says nothing for a while. Every production skill Xia touches maxes out. cooking, blacksmithing, first aid, alchemy, engineering. All of them hit their absolute ceiling in a time frame that should be impossible. And not one of these skills lets them fight. But they do something the system never accounted for. They make everything he touches extraordinary. He doesn't know this yet. He's just trying to survive. Xiao needs to get home. His apartment is on the other side of a level 18 mole territory, dangerous for anyone, lethal for someone with no combat abilities. He needs an escort. He goes to the team assembly hall, looks at the recruitment boards, and finds what he's looking for. Shinheijin squad, ranked top 5 in team standings. Former esports champion turned rogue. His team includes Luju the archer, Anlu the shadow assassin with a deliberately hidden level, and Obara the healer priest. They're professional, experienced, and capable. Shinheijin rejects Xia's join request 3 times. Then Xia sends him a trade offer. 10 gold coins for escort service. Shinheijin has been grinding hard to save up 2 gold coins total. He accepts before the window finishes loading. What Shinheijin tells himself, this naive-looking person is carrying serious money and clearly has no combat sense. Get him to his destination safely, then find the right moment. Easy work. What he does not tell the rest of his squad, he plans to rob Xia the moment they arrive. The journey through mole territory is clean. Shinheijin's team handles every encounter efficiently. They reach the apartment building without significant trouble. Everyone is pleased with how smoothly this is going. Shinheijin draws his dagger. A level 22 A rank mutated sewer rat drops from the ceiling directly onto the group. Everyone scatters. The floor collapses under the impact. Xiao falls through a hole into the basement below. Alone, in the dark, surrounded by glowing eyes. The creatures in the basement are rats, but they're not behaving like rats. They're gathered around him in a circle, and one of them speaks. Not rat sounds. Words. They address him as Demon King. They bow their heads. Xia, covered in plaster dust and completely baffled, is still trying to understand what's happening when Anlu drops down from the gap above and destroys every creature in the basement in about 4 seconds flat. She tells him she has the situation under control. Then she positions herself behind him. Her hand comes up. She activates Backstab, a guaranteed critical hit, aimed directly at the back of his head. If this connects, the job is done, the treasure is hers, and she's gone before anyone upstairs knows what happened. Her blade lands in a roast chicken. Xia is holding a chicken. It materialized in his hand the moment the skill activated. Cooking instinct operating on pure reflex. The blade sinks into the bird up to the hilt. Anlu stares at the chicken. Then at Xia. He explains, without apparent concern, that he's been training very hard and his reflexes are quite sharp. He notices her health bar is low. He offers her the chicken. Anlu resists. She's a professional. She has a job to finish. She is not going to eat evidence. Then the smell hits her. The smell of Grandmaster-level cooking carrying every modifier and quality enhancement Xia has poured into his craft. She takes one bite because the alternative is to stop being a human being. Her status bar explodes with notifications. Level up. Skill enhancement. Trainee status removed. She is now a fully recognized shadow assassin. The food didn't just taste good. It improved her fundamentally at the character level in a way years of training hadn't managed. She puts the chicken down. She stands up very straight. She turns to face Xia, and the look on her face is not the face of someone who was about to commit robbery. It's the face of someone who just had a religious experience. She bows. She swears she will carry out any order he gives for as long as she lives. Xia stares at her. He gave her chicken. She's pledging her existence to him. He processes this for a moment, decides not to overthink it, and says, "Great, he just needs her to make sure he gets home safely." She says she understands completely. They make it upstairs and out of the building, and Xia immediately lights up, because sitting on the front step, watching the doorway with yellow eyes, is his cat. Bao Bao. Fat, fluffy, completely calm, sitting in the middle of a war zone like it's a sunny afternoon. The squad has reformed by this point. Obara looks at the cat. She looks at the building they just cleared. She asks, very carefully, "Is the demon cat, the level 35 dungeon boss who has been systematically terrorizing this building and everyone in a 6-block radius. Is that this kid's pet? Xiao picks up Bao Bao, holds him like a baby, and calls him sweetheart. He says he's going inside to clean the litter box and will be back in a minute. Qin Heijin watches him disappear through the doorway. He watches the cat settle onto Xiao's shoulder. He revises his mental assessment of this situation significantly. He draws his dagger again. This time it's the real attempt. Careful, calculated, aimed at the right moment. Anlu puts her blade through his shoulder before he gets the grip sorted. Then, through Luju's arm. She tells them both, with professional calm, that they have no idea who they just tried to attack. Xia comes back out and finds 2 of his escorts bleeding on his front step. He produces a phantom cloth bandage from his inventory. The squad has never seen one in person. Li Bingbing described them during training. Equivalent to 5 professional healers operating simultaneously, usable in combat, recovery that touches the character's base condition rather than just restoring surface health. He wraps Qin Heijin. He wraps Luju. Their wounds close. Their bodies reset. Their levels climb. All 3 of them look at each other. Then they look at Xia. Then they bow their heads and call him older brother. Xia thanks them warmly and mentions the bandage cost 30 gold pieces. He'll accept 35% annual interest payable at their convenience. Anla grins. She says, the boss destroys people in the most professional way possible. The squad isn't done being surprised. That evening, the system sends out a notification felt by every player on Earth. A level 25 dungeon has been cleared in the safe zone, earning 50,000 points. The team that cleared it now holds the top rank in global team standings. International. Real time. First place. Xiao's cat is sitting on his head in the notification image. He had no idea his apartment building was a classified dungeon. He just thought it was home. Roland, across the city, receives the notification. He reads it. He stares at the cat. He does not have a good evening. Meanwhile, Qin Heijin is parading down the main street, accepting congratulations from strangers. He's waving to the crowd and crediting his older brother. He is fully and completely committed to the winning side. The next morning, Roland finds a squad and pulls them aside. He binds them with his spirit whip and speaks fast and urgent. Xia is not what he appears. No class, no rank, nothing in the system. He is not a player. He is the Demon King, disguised, infiltrating human society to sow chaos and destroy it from within. Roland extends his hand and asks for their cooperation. Qin Heijin shakes it, not seriously, looks trustworthy. The moment Roland releases them, Qin Heijin turns to the squad and explains. He just deceived the NPC. Anyone with functioning eyes can see exactly where the real power is. They're not switching sides. Anlu says she will leave this squad permanently if anyone tries to move against Xia. Her tone suggests this will be the least of the consequences. Obara, moral compass of the group, quietly says she has concerns about this direction. Qin Heijin does not acknowledge this. Together, they become the first human team to officially join the Demon King's side. Not through threats or coercion, but because a man healed them, fed them, and offered installment payments. They also, technically, hold the #1 global ranking. Here is something nobody planned for, Belial's egg. When Roland killed Belial and her body was destroyed, something remained, a small egg, glowing faintly, sitting in the crater. Xia had looted it from the scene and put it in his inventory alongside everything else. He'd wrapped a ghostly bandage around a crack in it at some point, meaning to sell it later. Then he forgot about it. The egg woke up anyway. Overnight, the crack spreads. Something inside completes itself. The morning brings a small, new version of Belial. Younger, rounder, significantly less intimidating than the S-class demoness Roland sliced in half, but absolutely clear on who she is and what her purpose is. She announces herself immediately. Great Belial, one of the 7 heavenly kings, reborn under the protection of her master. Xiao looks at her for a long moment. He asks whether she can be sold for more than the egg. He follows this up by noting that she's basically a small, cute version of the demon that Roland destroyed, and that Roland will probably want to destroy her too. so she'll need to be sold somewhere discreet. He is calculating the market price of a reborn S-class demon out loud, in front of her, while she watches him. Belial interprets every word of this as the Demon King, constructing an elaborate cover story to protect her from human persecution by making her seem commercially motivated rather than strategically significant. She is so moved by his brilliance and consideration that she immediately grows her horns, removes them, and places them in Xia's hands. These regrow daily, she explains. She can provide income. Xia's conscience, which has been losing a lot of arguments lately, wins this one. He decides not to sell her. Transaction: 6 gold coins for the horns. The pet economy is operational. Roland's report to the Heavenly City Council that week is a masterpiece of accidental fiction. He tells them, the Demon King is disguised as a helpless novice. He has infiltrated the most effective new player team in the world. His actual goal is to destroy human political unity from the inside by positioning himself as a beloved, generous figure, making the human side emotionally compromised and unable to act against him. Roland personally established a counterintelligence partnership with the squad and is monitoring all developments closely. The council praises his tactical genius. Every single word he said was a complete misread of events. Into this carefully constructed misunderstanding walks Bishop Pui, the second most powerful NPC in the human faction, and the most skeptical person Roland has ever had to brief. Pui listens to Roland's summary and is unimpressed. He asks, how dangerous can a newborn Demon King really be? Is Roland perhaps overreacting? The answer arrives before Roland can give one. A dragon. Not a real dragon. A mutated lizard that grew out of control, level 84, large enough to flatten 8 separate defensive fortresses in one pass. For 1,000 players dead, 100 NPCs down. It's heading toward the safe zone at a speed no one can intercept. Roland moves. He gets on a speed bike and goes after it at full throttle. He catches it in the air outside the city, launches holy skills, and watches every attack deflect off the creature's hide. It knocks him back, turns toward the safe zone, opens its mouth, and fires. The energy blast descends toward the low-level player district like a verdict. Bao Bao's eyes light up. The cat has been sitting on Xia's shoulder, watching all of this happen. Now he shifts his weight slightly, looks up, and fires one beam. 1. The cat's beam hits the dragon's attack mid-flight and doesn't stop. It keeps going. The dragon's body comes apart at the impact point. A level 84 mutant, the most dangerous thing on the battlefield, disappears in the time it takes to blink. The sky fills with burning fragments. Bao drifts down from the air. He floated up at some point, apparently, and settles back on his Xia's shoulder. He tucks his paws under his chest. He goes back to sleep. Roland stops his bike on the empty road and stares at the burning sky. Pui, standing at the edge of the safe zone with his NPC assistant, experiences something that can best be described as a complete shutdown of his normal mental processes. He approaches Bao Bao. He places his family's cross, a sacred heirloom, passed down through the Pui family for generations, on the ground in front of the cat. He follows this with his family property certificate, then his pension savings. His NPC assistant, running on some kind of operational survival instinct, asks Bao Bao, does the Demon King have immediate plans for the safe zone? Bao Bao says, the Demon King has no immediate plans. He needs money right now. If there are no further questions, everyone can leave. Pui walks away, convinced the mission was a complete success. The world is protected because the Demon King is currently prioritizing cash flow. Back at the apartment, domestic life is proceeding unusually. Xia comes home and finds that Bao Bao has used the bathroom in the wrong place. Not the litter box. Not even close to the litter box. He picks the cat up by the scruff of his neck, gives him a stern, thorough lecture about personal responsibility and shared living spaces, and puts him outside in the hallway for the night. The most powerful creature in existence sits outside the door of a safe zone apartment and cries about his litter box situation until morning. Belial, meanwhile, has made the bed. Xiao lies down. She lies beside him. He feels the awkwardness of this arrangement acutely. She shrinks to egg size. They say goodnight. In the morning, there is a small notebook under the pillow. He opens it. It is Belial's diary, pages and pages of deep, earnest, dramatic devotion. She has written everything she can't say out loud and left it exactly where he would find it, hoping he would understand what she meant. He closes it carefully, puts it back, and lies very still for a moment thinking about his choices. He almost forgot she's a demon. He's going to have to keep reminding himself. The next crisis arrives on schedule. The squad is out leveling when Babylon comes through the sky like a missile. One of the 7 demon lords, seductress and manipulator, level 101, capable of transformation into things significantly larger and harder than her default form. She doesn't negotiate. She attacks. She hits Chin Haejin hard enough to take a serious chunk out of his health. She sends Lu Ju flying. She moves to finish Obara and stops. Onlu is holding a roast chicken between Babylon's strike and Obara's body. The strike lands on the chicken. Babylon stares. Onlu doesn't wait for her to understand it. She attacks back, and something about the roast chicken she's still holding amplifies the strike to a level that draws blood from a level 101 demon. Babylon initiates her second transformation, then her third. She is preparing to end this cleanly. Belial and Bao Bao arrive. Bao tells Babylon to stand down. He says this in cat language by mistake. He corrects himself. She attacks anyway. He hits her once. The damage is catastrophic. Babylon goes down. Bao apologizes for the language error. He and Belial explain the situation. The Demon King is alive, disguised, living in the safe zone, and Babylon needs to act as a pet if she wants to serve him. Babylon, recovering from being hit by an entity several magnitudes above her power tier, processes this information in silence. She ends up brought to the apartment in miniature form, presented by the squad as a gift. Her offer to stay: fast metabolism, 3 pairs of horns daily, 12 gold coins per day. Xia accepts. The household expands. The house tour that follows breaks Chin Haejin's brain a little. Every wall has weapons on it, beginner-tier items that Xia made while practicing blacksmithing, and each one radiates the kind of power that shouldn't belong to something labeled basic. Armor displayed on racks that would make a professional guild envious. Doll Xia, made in his spare time, sitting on shelves, each one carrying embedded crafting energy. The sofa gives off a magical aura when you sit on it. The water from the well in the backyard, a well of eternity that Xia dug to avoid paying the water utility, levels you up when you drink it. Chin Haejin sits on the sofa. He sits on it for a while. He drinks a cup of tea. He looks at the weapons on the wall. He makes his decision quietly and without drama. He is binding his entire future to this man, and not even slightly reluctantly. Roland comes to the house. He sees Belial, the demon he personally killed, sitting in Xia's bag looking small and cute. He sees the squad operating comfortably inside what used to be a dungeon, as if it's a perfectly normal home. He sees the 2 demon lords in pet form curled in cat beds. He sees all of this at once and keeps his face together through sheer professional discipline. Xia introduces everyone as friends. Roland takes the introduction at face value because the alternative is another breakdown in public. He has a proposal. He mentions, carefully, watching for a reaction, an unexplored ancient elven kingdom. Third force, capable of matching both divine and demonic power. His real plan: get there first, claim the elven power, have something that doesn't rely on the Demon King's mercy to survive. He presents it to Xia as a gift, something interesting to see. Xia's eyes light up. He says he finds this world fascinating and wants to explore as much of it as possible. He says he has no power of his own and puts all his hope in Roland. Roland interprets this as, the Demon King is bored. He wants to be entertained while he waits to dismantle civilization. The elven power is the entertainment option. He leads them there anyway because it's the only play he has. The Forbidden Zone is sealed off with warning dialogue boxes that overflow and stack on top of each other in a wall of red text. They walk through. Obara immediately steps on a pressure plate. An A-rank owl monster materializes, begins a dramatic villain speech about consequences and trespassers, It makes it approximately 12 words, and before Roland brings the S-rank hellish breakthrough module down on it, so hard the entire area shakes. The speech does not get finished. They receive a 3D projector from the remains, a teleport activates, and Roland notes dryly that the preliminary phase is complete. The throne room at the end of the dungeon holds a demoness preserved in a jar, the sole survivor of an elven kingdom that fell 1,000 years ago, who guarded the ruin in complete isolation for all that time, while her king's skeleton sat quietly to the side. The corruption read is clear. 1,000 years alone split her soul into an evil consciousness and a sleeping good self. To clear the dungeon, defeat one and wake the other. Roland pulls out an S-rank family heirloom trap. It draws power from 4 demon sources simultaneously, releases a targeted magical plague, and delivers damage that has no realistic resistance threshold. The queen is devastated. He follows with legendary breakthrough. It's overwhelming, definitive, beautifully executed. And then the queen reveals it was an illusion. The real ending is stranger and sadder. 1,000 years ago, she ate a toxic mushroom by mistake. The poisoning killed her before the demons did. It reactivates now, quietly, as a final condition. No grand battle, no dramatic finale, just the slow effect of a long-ago mistake catching up to a ghost. No reward notification. The elf simply ends. Roland walks to the charred remains of the body left behind. He finds it, buried in the debris, a burning red crystal the size of his fist. The Elven Stone of Wisdom. Everything the Elven civilization built over millions of years. All their knowledge, all their power methods, every technique and discovery condensed into one artifact. A third force capable of matching god and demon alike. He holds in his palm. He makes his decision. He will not give this to Xia. He will take it to Heavenly City, place it in the council's hands, and use it to build something that can actually oppose the Demon King. He announces this to the squad. The squad receives this announcement. Shinheijin swaps the Real Stone with a decoy using his con artist skill before Roland finishes the sentence. The fight is immediate and spectacular. Anlu's hidden strike comes from the shadows. Luju fires in coordinated volleys using roast chickens as actual ammunition. The 1,000 shots in unison, with Xia's cooking amplifying every impact to absurd levels. Obara's starfire fills the space with high-speed magical bullets. Roland answers with the S-rank Divine Shield, Holy Light Barriers, Lord's Blessing, and Free Blessing stacked together. He kicks Shinheijin in the face with enough force to send him airborne. He catches chicken arrows with S-rank gauntlets. He catches the real crystal mid-swap and holds it. The stone changes hands 4 more times in the next 60 seconds. It is, objectively, one of the most chaotic situations this dungeon has ever hosted. Roland ends it by activating his own con artist skill, swapping a doll with his body, appearing behind Anlu, and reclaiming the crystal decisively. He walks out. He goes to Heavenly City. He stands before the full council, extends his hand to present the Elven Stone of Wisdom to 12 of humanity's most powerful leaders, and his hand is empty. The crystal is gone. Julia Dexes explains this calmly. The Elven Stone of Wisdom is a wise artifact. It senses its master. The Elven Princess has been resurrected. The stone returned to her automatically the moment Roland crossed into Heavenly City's boundary. Roland's face does not change for a very long time. DIXS declares Roland a traitor immediately and has him arrested at gunpoint. While all of this was happening, Shinheijin had taken 30% of the princess's remains, scooped into a plastic bag, to Xia's house. The full story of what happened to the rest during the battle is not something anyone needs to revisit. Xia, operating on Grandmaster-level crafting instinct, works on what Shinheijin brought him. His repair and restoration skills engage automatically. He notices the destroyed chest area and replaces it with a rib cage model he made. The bone structure matches, the skin tone is close, the assembly is meticulous. He focuses everything he has. The girl's chest rises. She takes a breath. Her eyes open. She activates Eye of True Vision immediately, a passive skill that sees through illusions and misrepresentations. She scans Xia. She scans the room. She scans herself. Her gaze drops to her chest. A look of profound mortification crosses her face that is somehow visible even through the first moments of resurrection. Her chest, before the explosion, was an F cup. Xia used the small rib model he had on hand. She stares at what she has been given. Then she falls back into a very deep, very deliberate sleep. She cannot be woken. She refuses to be woken. Shin Heijin, who has watched this entire sequence in complete silence, slowly turns and walks away. Julia, DIXS, moves with the confidence of someone who has never been meaningfully stopped. He locks Roland in a crystal cube prison. He issues orders in sequence. All shops in the safe zone closed, all NPCs evacuated, the protective barrier deactivated, Demon Fighter 3 Plus made ready for launch. A system-level superweapon built by dismantling Demon Slayer No. 8, the kind of weapon that gets described in military briefings as city-ending. He organizes a global live broadcast. He personally leads his army into the safe zone. The safe zone empties. People who lived here pack whatever they can carry and run. Housing prices collapse in real time. Streets that were busy an hour ago are silent. Xia, walking outside for some air, notices the empty streets and genuinely wonders if today is a holiday. DIXS arrives with his army arranged behind him and the Demon Slayer gun at his hip. He stands in the street and demands Xia hand over the elven princess immediately. Xia considers this. He asks how much DIXS is offering. DIXS says he will offer nothing. The Demon King will surrender the asset or face destruction. Xia looks around at the soldiers. He looks at the global broadcast camera that DIXS set up. He looks at the soldiers watching the broadcast through their own feeds. He looks back at DIXS. Then he announces to the assembled army and the entire global audience that he's opening the bidding. The first offers come from Dix's own soldiers, because of course they do. They're looking at a soul-bound elven princess, the last of her kind, carrying millions of years of accumulated wisdom. The bids start climbing immediately. Players watching the broadcast online start crowdfunding in real time, pooling resources from across the world to participate. 1,000 gold, 2,000, 3,500. DIXS is watching his tactical dominance turn into a televised disaster in front of every player on Earth. He starts bidding himself. He cannot stop himself from bidding. Every instinct he has, every prideful, aggressive reflex honed over years of political maneuvering drives him to win this. He goes up. The crowd goes up. He goes higher. He reaches 5,400 gold coins, his entire family fortune, liquidated in real time on a global live stream. And nobody goes higher. He wins. He wins the auction in front of everyone. The transaction processes. Then it stops. Error. Asset is soul-bound. Cannot be sold, transferred, or separated from current owner. The funds are returned to Dix's account. The elven princess does not move. DIXS gets nothing. The entire world watched him spend his family's fortune bidding on something that was never going to leave. He stands there with his gun out. His NPC assistant activates the Demon Fighter 3 Plus. The weapon launches. A system-level beam, city-ending caliber, aimed directly at Xia's location. Bao Bao is inside the weapon. Nobody knows when he got in there. He absorbed the launch energy from the inside, redirected the beam using the weapon's own mechanics, and the Demon Fighter 3 Plus fires backward into itself. The explosion, by some property of absorbed system energy, unfolds as a fireworks display. Perfect, synchronized, multicolored lights spread across the sky. Bao Bao floats down out of the detonation, carrying Roland's crystal prison. He lands on the rubble. He looks at Roland through the crystalline wall. He uses whatever remains of his absorbed energy and shatters it. Roland emerges from the wreckage glowing with barely contained divine light, sword drawn, moving through the falling shrapnel of the demon fighter with fluid precision, cutting debris, deflecting fragments, protecting the people nearby. The crowd watches. The broadcast cameras catch everything. Heavenly City Dispatch, watching the feed, announces, Roland saved the city again. The hope of humanity. Reliable as always. Bao Bao watches Roland from a pile of rubble nearby. He tells Roland, when Roland gets close enough to hear, this repays the back scratcher he gave him last time. Dixs still has his gun pointed at Xia. He fires. Water comes out. Bao Bao's energy absorption converted the demon slayer into a water gun at the system level in the moment of contact. It shoots water, a very clean, gentle stream. Xiao walks up to Dixs. He puts a hand on Dix's shoulder. He tells him, you shouldn't shoot water guns at people just because a deal fell through. You're not a child. He says Dixs seems like a good person at heart and shouldn't let things like this get out of hand again. Dixs stares at the water gun. He stares at Xia's hand on his shoulder. He stares at the broadcast camera that is still filming this. He kneels. The most powerful military figure in Heavenly City's political structure, in front of the entire world, on his knees in an empty street. The water gun drips quietly beside him. There's a moment of silence in the broadcast feed. Then the comments start coming in. A package arrives for Roland a few days later. A letter from Xia, written in his direct, cheerful handwriting. Roland was the first person he ever met in this new world, the one who extended a helping hand when Xia had nothing. He wants Roland to have something. Inside the box, a kitten. Roland sits with the box for a long time. His face turns red. He breaks into a cold sweat. He is, against every reasonable expectation, deeply moved, and he has absolutely no idea what to do about it. The elven princess wakes up and takes stock. She activates Eye of True Vision, looks around the apartment. The demon lords in cat beds, the squad cooking in the kitchen, the guild artifacts on the walls, the demon king's cat sleeping on what she strongly suspects is a sacred artifact, and she makes a decision. This man might actually be capable of ending the world's endless wars. She cannot explain exactly how, but the eye does not lie, and what it shows her when she looks at Xia is not destruction. It's something quieter and harder to name. She cleans the entire apartment, thoroughly. Then she cooks. Every morning after, fresh food on the table, bed made, plants growing in small pots at the entrance of the building. She earns a B-rank system title, Feudal Remnants, for her contribution to maintaining the residence. Xia comes home one evening, sees the apartment in this condition, and is very pleased. He says so. She keeps cleaning. Heavenly City's NPC staff are reviewing files on everything connected to Xia at this point. The surveillance reports are not going well. Bao Bao's power is classified as creator level with no further category available. The elven princess's arrival has improved Xia's general mood, which the analysts note extends the estimated timeline before world destruction. Mutant activity has been increasing near his location in response to the elf's presence. The city assigns monitors to cover his movements around the clock, including supermarket visits. Xia and the princess go grocery shopping. He buys flour. Cookie consumption has tripled since the pets arrived. 2 cat beds, a new down comforter, a new mattress. The princess quietly counts the cat beds as she walks beside him. 2. She counts them twice. She says nothing. Back at the apartment, Belial and Babylon experience a vague premonition of unease without being able to identify its source. Outside the supermarket, an elderly woman is on the ground. Her groceries are scattered across the pavement. A young man is walking away. Her own son, who comes around regularly to take her money for gaming and uses enough force to make sure she doesn't argue. He does this routinely. She's a seamstress, makes bags from linen fabric for small income, lives with a tiny dog named Xiaoi, who tries every time to protect her and is too small to do anything about it. Xia helps her up. The princess offers to wash the dog. They go inside. The princess takes Xiaoi to the bathroom. Xia stays with the woman and listens. He's still listening when the building shutters. A desert wolf has come in through the back. One of Fenrir's lieutenants, an A-rank mutant, intelligent, purposeful. Lord Fenrir has sent him to retrieve the elven princess. Her wisdom, her stone of wisdom, the million years of elven knowledge she carries, it would make mutant kind unstoppable. The wolf grabs the princess. She issues a formal warning. His disrespect is disrespect to the Demon King. He ignores it. Zaiwai launches himself at the wolf's leg. The wolf picks the small dog up and throws him into the wall. The princess's elven power activates the moment Zaiwai hits the ground. It goes into the dog. The small dog's level surges upward, climbing until it matches the desert wolf's exactly. Zaiwai gets back up. He shakes himself off. The wolf looks at him. The wolf takes a step back. Zaiwai moves. The fight lasts approximately 3 seconds. Zaiwai wins. Definitively. He bites the wolf's head clean off with the efficiency of something that has been protecting the same person its entire life and finally has the power to make it count. The bathroom is completely destroyed. The princess calmly picks Zaiwai up and begins washing him for the second time. NPC city staff arrive at Iran, attracted by the explosion of magical energy. The princess gives them a lecture of focused precision about their responsibility to protect the civilians in this zone and what will happen if she has to address this kind of failure again. The NPCs drop to their knees and apologize. Xia returns Zaiwai, freshly clean again, to the old woman. She is grateful beyond words. She presses a lottery ticket into his hands. He takes it. He opens it. Alchemical potion of primary purification. Dispels magical status effects. The annotation in the system reads, S-rank effect. All magical conditions nullified regardless of source. He thinks it's useless. He puts it in his inventory. The princess, walking beside him, says quietly that the joy of helping others is its own reward. He says he had a good day. He suggests they go shopping again together. She says she'd like that. The good day doesn't last long. Reports are coming in from outside the safe zone. Children missing. Not a few. A pattern. Families are frantic. The old woman, who recognized Xia from the live broadcast, mentions it to him specifically. She also warns him. The elf walking beside him is being hunted by everyone. One unguarded moment. Xia is genuinely worried about the children. Roland brings his father. Dali, the iron-blooded demon slayer, 49 demon battles, 0 defeats, one of the 12 advisors of Heavenly City, watched the live stream of the auction and the demon fighter incident and has developed strong opinions about which side of history he wants to be on. He arrives with Roland and immediately attempts to offer Xia a massage. Then, a shoe-shining service. Roland's expression throughout this is the most painful thing anyone has seen today. The gift Dali brings is an S-class robotic vacuum cleaner with divine artificial intelligence, latest generation automatic cleaning system, turbo boost, and a trap function that would theoretically paralyze a target through prolonged exposure to comfortable domesticity. The demonesses get their hair sucked in immediately. Xia finds this extremely funny. He picks the vacuum cleaner up. The divine AI has been running a continuous analysis of Xia since activation. In the 3 seconds between Xia picking it up and the AI completing its final assessment, the conclusion the system reaches is unconditional surrender is the only logical response. The trap function deactivates itself. The device transforms into a general use appliance and subsequently connects to Heavenly City's entire network, not to report to the city, but to report everything the city does to Xia in real time, automatically. Dali stares at the vacuum cleaner. He stares at Xia. He built this trap over an extended period with considerable resources. It surrendered itself in 3 seconds. He tries to take it back. Xia tries to return it. The AI ignores both of them. The surveillance network is operational. Then Dali reaches into his coat and brings out the Li family's most sacred possession, the Durandal pendant. Demon Slayer number 1 converts the owner's faith and loyalty into real physical combat power. Never failed in 1,000 years of Li family history. He holds it up to pass it to Roland. The pendant flickers. An impurity. Something in Roland's faith is not settled. Dali looks at the pendant for a long time. He looks at Roland. He looks at the casual gift Xia gave Roland recently. The small Gasapon toy still in Roland's pocket. Dali takes the toy and examines it with his analytical skills. The system classifies it as a system-level artifact, one of 13 in existence. In Xia's world, it's a toy. In Dali's world, it outclasses the Durandal. Dali kneels. He tells Roland quietly, "Not as an order, but as the final conclusion of a man who has fought demons his entire life and knows when a battle is already decided. To raise a white flag and consider the options available when the enemy has given you kindness rather than destruction. He is not joking. Roland investigates the missing children situation that evening. His sources confirm the children were taken by Fenrir, S-rank mutant wolf. Rose from baseline to level 101 in 48 hours using a gluttony ability that levels him up each time he devours a sentient being. He is currently the single most dangerous mutant on the battlefield. The children are not dead. Fenrir took them alive, specifically to force a negotiation with human leadership. He wants recognition. He wants coexistence terms. He just went about it in the worst possible way. Roland promises Xia he will bring them back. He means it. Dolly watches his son say this and thinks. He has never been this motivated in his life. Xia, trying to get closer to the situation to help, gets captured. Fenrir's mutants intercept him between safe zones and bring him into the dungeon. He ends up in a cell beside the missing children, separated from his squad, exactly where Fenrir wants no civilians to be. The children are crying. They're scared. They want to go home. Xia does what he does. He pulls out a roast chicken and offers it. A girl tells him the protein content is too high for her diet. He shows his crafting sword, not glowing, therefore uncool per the group consensus. He shows a princess figurine he made. A boy asks if he's an otaku. He runs out of social tools. He gives them the purification potion, not because he knows what it does to emotions, just because a lottery ticket from a kind old woman seemed worth sharing. The potion's S-rank effect dispels fear, anxiety, and magical despair at the root level. The children stop crying. Their shoulders come down. A boy looks up and asks, "Who's going to come save them?" Xia says, "Have you heard of the hope of humanity?" Roland blows the wall open 4 minutes later. He doesn't slow down for the guards. He doesn't negotiate his entrance. He's moving at combat speed before he's even through the gap, and by the time Fenrir rises from the dark at the end of the chamber, the guards are already handled. Fenrir is exactly what the intelligence report said. Level 101. Gluttony active. Invincible by normal metrics. He is also, and Roland did not expect this, reasonable. He puts his proposal on the table directly. Help him become leader of the mutant faction, and he will turn his power against the demons. He will not touch human civilians. He will feed only on demons. It's a logical alliance that serves everyone's interests. He looks at Xia when he finishes. Xia says it sounds pretty reasonable to him. Roland looks at Xia. He looks at Fenrir. He makes his decision. He attacks while shouting. And this is completely real. In the name of the Demon King, I will destroy you. He believes, with total sincerity, that the Demon King is testing his loyalty by being present, and that failing this test ends in his death. He fights with everything he has, shouting his master's name as motivation, and Fenrir cannot understand a single thing that is happening. Fenrir tries to revise his proposal. Roland refuses. He offers modified terms. Roland refuses. He offers terms that are genuinely favorable to the human side. Roland refuses louder in the Demon King's name. Fenrir stacks his gluttony ability. 30 layers, 40, 50, preparing to jump 30 levels in one burst and end this decisively. A vial shatters across his back. He feels it spread across his skin like cold water. He activates every resistance. It doesn't matter. The alchemical potion of primary purification doesn't interact with resistance stats. It interacts with magical conditions directly. The S-rank gluttony status, every stacked level of it, every carefully accumulated power boost, stripped clean. Fenrir reverts from level 101 to level 76. His body shrinks back to its natural size. He stands in the dungeon, normal, powerless, staring at a college student who just threw a lottery prize at him. Xiao mentions, pleasantly, that he has more of those if needed. Roland and Fenrir both stare at him for a long, silent moment. Fenrir has no moves left. He retreats, announcing loudly that he wants absolutely nothing more to do with Roland or any of this situation. The children are released. They're loaded onto a bus. Xia is given a limousine for his contribution. The city is being gracious about the whole thing. The mercenaries who took money to escort Xia and then abandoned him mid-mission get arrested. The charge is reclassified as shoving the good man Xia. 3 years. The news cycle the next morning runs warm, human interest angles on the story. Children rescued. Mutant threat neutralized. The hope of humanity performed excellently. A credit line at the bottom mentions an ordinary enthusiastic civilian named Xia contributed meaningfully to the operation. The analysts at Heavenly City Watch bring Fenrir, full-size, sulking, enormous, in a Xia's backyard tied with a rope. They update the threat assessment file. Category, asset column. The demon children come next. Roland, who technically infiltrated a demon base by accident while chasing Fenrir and bluffed his way out by claiming the demon king sent him, arrives at Xia's gate with 12 small demons who have nowhere to go. They beg to stay. Xia looks at them. He looks at the backyard. He looks at his increasingly complicated domestic situation. He decides. Fenrir goes in the corner of the backyard, caged but fed. The demon children stay temporarily. He's given a plot of adjacent land and donates materials for a basic orphanage structure. Roland, quietly, makes sure no official records complicate the children's status. And then Xia says, they should make this official. A guild. Something with structure. A community. A guild creation form materializes in his inventory. Guild, Overworld. Shin Heijin, Deputy Leader, title Claw of the Demon King. Bao, Deputy Leader, title Gatekeeper of the Demon King. The building registers on the world map as a ranked dungeon. Luju, Obara, and Anlu join as core members. The elven princess continues her work as primary housekeeper and grows vegetables at the entrance. Every alarm in Heavenly City fires at once. The Demon King's power is growing continuously without his level increasing by a single point. Pui prays. The analysts run new models. God Moshe, watching from his temple, tells the archbishops not to worry. He says, Roland is exactly the right person for this. He was chosen for his unwavering faith and his refusal to give up no matter what he's facing. No matter how terrifying the enemy, no matter how many times things go wrong, he will never stop trying. Moshe says this with complete confidence. He does not mention that he fell asleep briefly while the demon fighter was being launched and woke up to the fireworks. Dolly returns to the front lines after his visit, satisfied. His son has exceeded every expectation he ever had for him. The divine AI vacuum cleaner is integrated into Heavenly City's intelligence network, quietly feeding everything to the Overworld Guild in real time. Xiao walks out to the backyard. Fenrir is in the cage. Fenrir is enormous, even at level 76, and looks deeply unhappy about his current circumstances. Xia asks, aren't you the king of the mutant wolves? The one who wanted to work with Roland to destroy all the demons? Fenrir is frightened. He stares at the college student with the roast chicken, the man with no combat stats, the broken character sheet, the Grandmaster-level cook who purified him with a lottery ticket, who accidentally cleared a dungeon by going home, whose cat dismantled a city-ending superweapon, whose first aid bandages come with a 35% annual interest rate. The Demon King who is absolutely, completely, 100% not in control of any of this, and somehow always wins anyway. The story doesn't end here. It barely starts here. Somewhere in the city, Mammon holds the only portrait of the Demon King and is still searching. 4 of the 7 demon lords haven't appeared yet. Hui has a weapon meant for Xia and hasn't used it. The Durandal has an impurity Roland can't explain. And Xia himself, his immeasurable level, his destroyer class, the reason every divine AI surrenders on contact. None of it has an answer yet. But for now, there's a backyard cage, a frightened wolf king, a house full of demons who bake cookies, a cat who gets grounded for litter box violations, and one cheerful, relentlessly optimistic young man who just wanted to survive and accidentally became the center of everything. He didn't choose this world. He just chose to keep going in it. And somehow, impossibly, that's been enough for everything. If you made it this far, like, subscribe, and drop a comment telling me Which moment broke you the most? Was it the heart? The chicken? The water gun? I need to know.